there, they're trying to get the heat and everything fixed. They had a little issue, electrical issue down here. I did have both heaters set up earlier, but then the breaker didn't. So I can't do but one. But hopefully, you know, if you want, you always feel free to do push-ups, jumping jacks in the back, and there's no problem. No problem. All right, so we're in week 7. I appreciate everyone coming out. A lot of different places you can be tonight, but you chose to come here, so we definitely appreciate that. Always grateful for that. We never take that for granted. Also want to shout out Pastor Williamson for allowing us to use his building. Elder Wallace Pruitt, who connected me with Pastor Williamson, and of course Brother Keith Scamp right here in the back. 3 individuals that really stepped up when we first brought the idea out, and they have put this whole thing together. So there's no way you do this without those 3 people. So I want to shout them out. I also want to shout out the scholars, all the books over there, and some of the books that aren't there. There's no way we're here without the scholars doing all that work. Dedicated their whole life, 30, 40, 50 years, to bring this knowledge to the forefront. And, you know, America as a society decided to not only hide the information, but the information we did get, they distorted it and falsified it. So, paying homage to the scholars who went there to try to fix those and right those wrongs, so we now have some information to build on. And I think the information tonight is going to be good, in my opinion. Y'all are brave me, y'all let me know what you think. I think it's going to be all right. Then we have Sister Evelyn back here who's getting ready. So at the intermission mark, we'll go back there, get yourself a plate, get filled up. I think food makes you warm. I just made that up. I think it's food makes you warm, so you can get some of that. And also we have Sister Warlee with some of her products over here. She'll come explain some things in just a few minutes. Pop right before the intermission. We'll let you know what she has over there. We support black business. I know somebody. That's what we do. All right, so everyone good? Everyone feeling all right? Kind of loose a little bit? It's cold, but you'll be all right. All right. So now, let's just kind of get our bearings a little bit. Watch out. Spirit of Sankofa. We're talking about going back in the past. Right? Going back in the past. We good? Going back in the past. Getting all the lessons, the wisdom, the knowledge, the truth, the understanding from all the different empires, kingdoms, city-states that we built, bringing those lessons, truths, understanding to the present, and then we build for the future. That's what we're here to do. Build for the future. And I want to kind of plug this in a little bit when I talk about future. Our African ancestors understood, our African ancestors understood this concept of future and also unseen things going on. All right. I really don't want that to go past us. They knew how to shape future. They knew how to build according to their vision, according to their ideas. And that's what I want us to do as we get this information. Let the information we get, the lessons we learn, the truth we have, form ideas, form a vision that we can build toward. Y'all follow me on that? And that's what our African ancestors understood relative to future. It's an intangible thing. You can't see future unless you're using your second set of senses. Your visualization, your meditation, your forecasting ahead. These are things that have not come yet, but they understood how to control this by understanding and learning from what happened in the past. Does that make sense? Okay. That's one thing I don't want us to lose. And in doing that, and going back, righting wrongs, getting the lessons, getting the truth, simultaneously, you emancipate the mind. This is exactly what happens. This is why they don't teach African history the way it needs to be taught. So that your mind will be free. When you're free, proud, and productive, which when we see our African people in the past, and that's what they were, you see all the great things they accomplished. We've already talked about the origins. We've already talked about Taseti. We've already talked about Kemet. We talked about Kush and all the great things. Now I'm going to continue on with this next one. But all of that information helps to free the mind. Y'all with me on that? Emancipation is what happens simultaneously. Also what happens, as you emancipate the mind, you also regain power. We're not going to just breeze past this one. We're going to keep going over this one each week. If our study of black history is really an exercise of feeling good about ourselves, then we'll die feeling good. Key line right here. We must look at the lessons that history teaches us. That's what we have to do. Look at the lessons. In doing that, we understand the tremendous value of the study of history for the what? What does that say? Regaining our power. That's what it's all about. The ability to manipulate future according to how you want it to be. Too long as African Americans, we don't do that. I'm talking about us as a collective, not necessarily people in this room. But us as a collective, we don't do that. We kind of settle for whatever they give us. However they set it up, we just wiggle our way through and survive. Right? And surviving is not what they did. They actually built things based on principles. And we can learn those principles by going back in the past. So this is what it's all about right here, regaining our power. And if our education isn't about gaining those lessons, gaining those principles, the understanding, the wisdom, which is real power, then we're being miseducated and we're being misled. Are you with me? So we're not here just to feel good about some things. Right? Okay. All right, you remember this? We went over this. Jerry So, Dogon principle, talking about how people only see the surface. Right? Sight without understanding, no depth. What you see is what you get. This is the mentality right here that the Dogon said you need to move away from this, advance past this. Everyone starts here. Is that right? You come out, you start off, you don't know much at the surface level. Unfortunately, in the United States, most people operate right here and don't leave this area. Just this real small, simplistic example, Trill. And listen, if it ain't as in-depth, just rock with me on this. I'm going to use Facebook. Facebook, Jerry So level. They'll post an article and say, look what just happened. And they'll have this article, some type of injustice or something going on. You click on the article, you'll look. It's from 6 years ago. But the whole reason why they reposted it or whatever it is, they saw the headline. That's if they didn't investigate to find out when it happened, what exactly happened, what are the details, wasn't there in fact justice that took place, nothing, they just reposted. Something, a real simple example, right there, Facebook. You gotta go past what you see and understand what's at the next level. And everything relative to African history is based on going beyond and getting in depth on things. It's never just what you see. So when you see a pyramid, it's not just a pyramid. It represents concepts, it represents unseen forces and energies at play that you use to build the physical. It's not just a pyramid. Y'all with me on that? So now I move past Jerry So. When you move past Jerry So, you start to get a different angle, a different way of looking at something. You look at the Washington Monument, you look at that and you'll say that's the Washington Monument. That's the European perspective. But from Kemet, when you see a pyramid like that or an obelisk like that, it represents concepts. It represents masculine energy, feminine energy coming together to bring forth life. That's one aspect of it. You're getting a different angle, a different interpretation. You're starting to see things, but you're starting to process those things, get a perspective. Y'all with me on this? Benny So is what I'm talking about. The Bruns kids that I teach at the Bruns Academy, they always talk about this. I'm trying to go from Benny So to Polo So. Mr. Ukweli, that's what they tell me. And I'm proud of it. I like that. They're thinking. Getting a different perspective, going beyond what you see. Benny So, this is a Dogon principle. We talked about this before. So a review. Then you want to get here. Polo So. We're talking about piercing to the inner meaning. Getting all the insight, seeing from all angles, seeing through, finding the essence, getting the insight. Y'all with me on that? This is where you want to get to on all things done. I'll say this right here. Since words, I'll use words and definitions. Since every single word in the English language has multiple definitions, how am I going to figure out what you really mean? I'm going to have to take a look at your context and intent. Right? I do a little more examination to what you're saying. I gotta examine it more. I gotta find the essence of what you're saying. See what I'm saying? I'll give you a word like nice. Nice, the word nice has changed over the years. Nice, when it originally started, it meant you were slow. Oh, they're calling you nice, and you thinking it's a compliment. Back then, it meant you were slow. I mean, he's nice. You see, then over time, it changed. Now nice means, actually, if you look it up, it kind of means you accept the title they give you unknowingly. Like you're ignorant to what they're saying. I'm just trying to be nice. Oh, that's too much. But I'm telling you, when you start studying the etymology of things and go beyond the initial, you start to find out a whole other level of things. And so everything in African history is based on going beyond what you see, get into the inner meaning. You're finding out the why. Are y'all with me? Going to the unseen. That's why they use symbols and rituals. Because symbols represent something that you can't see. But they're trying to use the symbol and the ritual so you can kind of conceptualize what they're talking about. But in order to understand, you got to go beyond Again, we use the pyramid. It's not just the pyramid. Not just a little angle, equilateral triangle. No, it's way more than that. It's way more than that. So I don't want us to sit on this level right here, on Jerry so, and we just looking at something and think that's what it is and that's it. There's way more to that. Way more to that. Does all that make sense? Okay, cool. Let me try to catch it right out here. This heater is really not functioning that well. All right, class objectives today. This is what we're going to do. We're going to study a place called Carthage. Anyone heard Carthage before? Anybody? Carthage. Carthage is a whitewashed empire, so you probably didn't connect it with Africa for the most part. That's not true. I'm going to slam dunk that whole thing in just a few minutes. So we're going to establish Carthage as an African empire. That's what it was. Facts. After that, we're going to go over 3 foundational elements relative to nation building, because that's what Carthage did. They built the nation outside of the Nile Valley. All right? Third, how Carthage became great. We'll go over that. And number 4, critical mistakes that caused Carthage to fall. All right? Is that all right? Was that all right today? All right, cool. All right, let's jump into it. Carthage was founded based on 2 groups. 2 groups made up the empire of Carthage, mainly. First, the Phoenicians. Anyone heard of the Phoenicians? Phoenicians. The next were the Libyans. Now, we talked about context and meaning and words. At a certain period of time, Phoenicians started to mean white folk. I'm going to tell you now, the original never meant white folk. Number 2, Libyans also meant at one point in time Indo-Europeans, white folk. Wrong. In this context that we're talking about, and I'll explain Phoenician in a minute, Libyans, both of these groups, I'm talking about African people. Are y'all with me? So, Phoenicians, Libyans made up the empire of Carthage. Oh, I'm starting to get warm now. Let's go. Let's go. All right, here we go. Now, these 3 people right here. This is Eugene Pinner right here, anthropologist. This is Donna Redford on the right. Arthur Keith right here. All 3 of these people, anthropologists, archaeologists. All 3 of these people agreed with Herodotus, the Greek historian. Look right here. Skeletal evidence supports the Phoenicians were Negro. I use Negro because that's what they say. Africans and Negro. You're with me on that. All 3 agree, along with Herodotus, the ancient Greek historian, not pictured, believed the Phoenicians migrated from Eritrea on the coast of the Red Sea. And we'll talk about that in a second. They're saying the origin of the Phoenician people is in Africa. In today's Eritrea, today's Ethiopia, Somalia. Y'all with me on that? These 3 individuals right here. To back that up even more, this brother right here, or person, the so-called Semitic type, Indo-European, characterized by long face, by the long oval face, thin nose, lengthened cranium, and large over the nape of the neck, has not yet been found in Carthage. So he's an archaeologist, Professor Gazelle. He's an archaeologist. He's been well, when he was alive, he's been to Carthage plenty of times. He never found bones replicating anybody Indo-European. All the bones he came in contact with, African bones. This is for Carthage. Y'all with me on that? Okay. Carthage was an African empire. I use this map right here to talk about where this is the Eritrean Sea they're talking about, renamed Indian Ocean. We're talking about right in this area right here. All in here is where the Phoenicians originated from. They migrated from this area here, and they went up and settled right in here, which is today's Palestine, Syria, Lebanon, Israel, right in there. Y'all with me? Okay, so from right here, this area here, migrated up right here. Let's keep going. Bible readers, they call this particular land the land of Canaan. Are you with me? Are we connecting those dots? So Canaan was right here. Phoenicians came up. Well, and when I say Phoenicians, that's what another group called them. But we'll explain that in a second. They came up again. It's right here. This is the land of Canaan that they talk about and refer to in the Bible. All right? Now, so right in here. So this is today's Syria. All right? This is Aleppo. Aleppo's been in the news lately, right? Aleppo right here. This is the main place they came right here. City of Tyre right here. This is on the border of Israel and Lebanon right here. Other cities, biblical cities, you might remember Damascus. There's Antioch right here. They were first called Christians in Antioch in the Bible. It's kind of giving you biblical references. I know most people read the Bible. But all this area here. Here's what fascinated me, and all this information, let me just quote my sources. Mainly is coming from Henry Rules and Dr. Ben's book, The Black Man of the Nile and His Family. So if you want to know two great places to get this information, these two books right here. All right. Now, back to anthropologist Sir Arthur Keith. The earliest known inhabitants, watch this now. The earliest known inhabitants were the Natufians 10,000 years ago. Earliest known inhabitants of Palestine. First people to go into Palestine were the Natufians, and they were Africans. So when you start talking about Israel, the area of Israel, the land of Canaan, you start talking about Lebanon, Syria, all those different areas, first people there, Africans, 10,000 years ago. The descendants of the Natufians, a few thousand years later, were called what? Canaanites. So when you're reading that Bible, and you read about Canaanites, that's black people. It's actually way more than that, but we'll stop at Canaanites for right now. Now here's where the word Phoenician came into practice. The Greeks, thousands of years later, the Greeks called the people of this area Phoenicians. The name refers to a dark red or brown dye. The Greeks later used it to denote the color of the Phoenicians. Got that? Dark red, brown dye. I see plenty of dark red and brown dye in this room. Y'all with me on that? So that's where the word Phoenician came from. It's a Greek word. Right? It was not an African original word, Brother Stan. Alright? Now, here's some more. When you first look at this, even some historians initially thought this had to come from Kemet, or ancient Egypt. This was actually found in the Phoenician territory, depicting Phoenician. But the reason why they have it looking like it's ancient Egyptian or Kemet, because that's the culture they follow. They follow Kemetic culture. They adopted that culture. We're going to see the benefits of that in just a few seconds. But this comes from the British Museum, but this is of Phoenician art right here. And you can see, if you want to use some of the physical features, you can see that's clearly African. That'll be good. Here's another one. You see, this is my bad side. Right here, you can obviously see the African physical features. Okay. Since people want to use that. But I've seen plenty of black people with skinny noses, thin lips. So really don't use that whole thick lip type of stereotype to describe African people. Because I've seen plenty of us who don't have that kind of thing, type of stereotype. Dr. Ben talks about it too, Dr. Diaz talks about it. Don't let them pigeonhole us to prove blackness by big lips or something, or whatever they try to stigmatize us with. So you read that, you're okay with it. All right. You're kind of giving me the look. Wait a second.
Oh, no, I was just thinking.
So now, they came from this area here, and I might have had this slide in reverse. We'll rock it. But they came in this area right here. This is where they were. Okay? Now, Carthage is actually right here in modern-day Tunisia. How did they go from right here to right here? Queen Elisa, in this area, Queen Elisa and her royal family had some issues. Some internal conflicts. Conflicts went down, some things went down. Her husband gets murdered. When her husband gets murdered, they're like, okay, you know what? I'm going to pack up, take my leadership following and my other loyalists, and we go from right here, the city of Tyre, and they settle right in this region right here. Modern-day Tunisia, and they set up Carthage and a bunch of other city-states in that region. Y'all follow me on that so far? Good. Okay, now I can skip over this part. So they come here. Now Carthage initially wasn't the first city. It was more like Utica, which is right here. Utica here, and some of these other city-states here. But over time, they start to build. And I'll kind of give you the three things right here they use. I may be a little early on it, but I'm going to give you three anyway. When they go from the city of Tyre and they bring their culture, economics, and politics here, that's how they start to grow. Culture, economics, and politics. Now I'll go more in depth on those in just a second. But culture, economics, politics. You take any one of those three, you take those three and go anywhere, you'll build something. Culture, economics, politics. And I'll get to more of that in a second. On the next one. All right. So this is around 1000 BC. This is when they left the city of Tyre and settled in North Africa, North Al-Kebulon, and that's the original term for that continent, Al-Kebulon. Now, Dr. Ben says the original meaning for Carthage, which the original term was Carthage. This is the original term for that. Right there. And that meant new town. So they came over from the city of Tyre, started a new town, called it Carthage. This is around 814 BC that Carthage was established. All right? Libyans were among those of the Carthage population. So when the Phoenicians came, remember they're coming to a different land, right? When they got there, they met Libyans. And here we go back to how Africans are supposed to conduct themselves. They did good initially, but Carthage does some stuff later on that kind of messes it up. But when they first get in contact with Libyans, there's no conflict there. It's just let's build together. We're from this part of the area. Some stuff went down. I'm kind of paraphrasing if they have this conversation. Some stuff went down. Can we build with y'all? Right? So Libyans and Carthaginians come together and they form that whole area. Libyans, Carthaginians, or Phoenicians. Right? Again, other colonies were founded right here, many others, but the main one we're going to deal with is Carthage. Right? Now by 700 BC, so that's about 114 years or 100-something years from here all the way to here, by that time, the majority of the population were Libyans, or African people. Okay? And Carthage was influenced, like I talked about earlier, was influenced by the legacy and traditions of Kemet. This is the kind of temples they had in Carthage. They had the temple of Maat, they had the temple of Ptah, had the temple of Imhotep, temple of Iman. Listen, and like I said, these temples aren't just buildings, right? That's Jericho. You see how that's a nice building? That's the Jericho level. But those things represent concepts and principles and values, which is a culture. Just talking about Imhotep himself, having that temple of Imhotep. Imhotep, first of all, was the world's first genius. We talked about this in week 2, I believe. Week 2, when we talk about Kemet. Imhotep was the world's first genius. He also was the person who designed and built the step pyramid, also the funerary complex. Those 2 buildings. So he was an architect. He was an astronomer. He was a poet. He was a dentist. He was a medical doctor. World's first medical doctor. Cured over 200 diseases. 29 of the eye. 15 of the bladder. 11 of the abdomen. Imhotep. Our children should know who Imhotep was. I teach that runs. I told them about Imhotep. They went crazy. Now I got to get these books. I got to get them. As soon as you tell them about Imhotep and you relate genius to people who look like us, come on, the self-confidence skyrockets. And confidence, going back to when I talked about future and intangibles, things you can't see, confidence is something you can't see. You can't hold confidence in your hand, but it's an unseen force. And I'm going to tell you, anyone who operates in confidence, usually they accomplish whatever it was and they stick with it. That's the intangible power that creates the physical. What they want you to do, they want you to focus on superhero type stuff when you think about power and human beings having power. What's that?
Whoa. Can you say that again? That's intangible.
Intangible power. That's what confidence is. Intangible, meaning you can't touch it.
That's something. What you said, intangible power that
creates the physical.
Awesome.
Come on, Marie. That's right. Creates the physical. I'll name some that they have presented to be cheesy to get you not to really operate in those things. These are real things you've heard. Nothing I'm going to say you ever heard before. Determination, that's a power. Confidence, that's a power. Drive, that's a power. Focus, that's a power. Concentration, that's a power. Gratitude, that's a power. All those things go into the future and create on your behalf. I'll give you another one. Repetition. Repetition. Look. Let's say through practice, the athletes become powerful. When you keep doing something, your human body is automatically designed to get better. You see what I'm saying? All you got to do is keep doing it. You do it again. Then you do it again. You get more powerful. More powerful. Don't let them fool you into this superhero comic book stuff. Right? Or that, what's the movie? He takes the pill, and all of a sudden, limitless. Come on. You don't have to take a pill. You don't have to take a pill. It's already in you to be that. You just have to channel yourself. That's the focus principle. Or concentration. You see what I'm saying? African ancestors knew this. So when you see different things, talking about traditions, and they have these temples built, it didn't just represent things that you can see. It's talking about principles and concepts that you can't see that build the things you see. Does that make sense? I hope we get that. That's big. That's going from Jerry so, Benny so, Bolo so. Just like that. Y'all with me? Okay, so when we say traditions of Kemet, we're talking about concepts, principles, values, etc., etc. And as a result of that, Carthage grows into a massive empire. All we have to do is pattern ourselves after that, and it'll happen for us. All we have to do. Blueprint's already been laid out. That's why I love the principle of Sankofa. Go back, let's get all this knowledge they had, all this wisdom, come back and let's build this thing. Right? All right, so here we go, Carthage. On that note, this is like a little depiction. This isn't, of course, an exact, accurate picture, but this is what they imagined it being, looking at the records and stuff like that. They had ships, of course, and when I say ships, I know we talked about it a little bit with Tassetti and a little bit with Kemet, but Carthage was really known for their strong navy, their shipbuilding, their navigational skills. They're credited with being the first people to really travel around the world, the Carthaginians. They don't tell us this, man, this public school's a little trip. But they were known for building large ships, sending around the world. Their trade network was elite. Carthaginians, your ancestors, built after the tradition, of Kemet, Imhotep, getting the knowledge, perfecting that genius. And they built one of the strongest navies, and we'll see some action from the Navy a little later. But that's one of the main things they were known for. Now, because history, or European history, has whitewashed Phoenicians, you don't really hear about Phoenicians in the black community. You don't really hear that because they whitewashed them. They're considered to be white people, etc., etc. But Phoenicians were black. They were known for excellent sailing skills. We want to stress it. Because we don't really associate water with black people. How many can swim? Don't raise your hand. My family's from Jamaica. I'm going to tell you a bad story real quick. My family's from Jamaica. My mom put me in swimming lessons when I was 2 years old. She didn't play any games. I didn't really understand why she did that until I got older. And I was talking to my brother, and I said, yo, when we go to the beach, let's invite some of our friends, and this and that, this and that. This is at Doctor's Cave Beach. Anyone ever been to Doctor's Cave Beach before? You're scared of water. Listen, most people in Jamaica can't swim. That's embarrassing. We'll edit that out the tape so people don't do that. My brother Randy can't swim. I mean, they just can't. They took me by surprise, but black people, for some reason, the stigma, we don't associate ourselves with water. I'm asking y'all, in the next 2 years, can everyone learn how to swim? I give you 2 summers. At least learn how to tread water. I did a lot of study on this. You tell me if I'm wrong. I did a lot of study on this part. If you can't swim and you're in water where you can't stand up, they say you drown and you die. That's what I heard. I'm not sure if that's true. That's what I heard. A lot of research. Pretty sure. I'm asking you to learn how to swim. Please. Erase that stigma and let's get in the water. Because our ancestors were all about the water. All about the water. Are y'all good? And well, I'm going to talk about the hair. You know, women say, wait a minute, the hair. I won't even go there. Just learn. You got to put a cap on. Just learn. Just learn. All right. So now, I'm going to give you 2. I think it's one of the questions on the thingamajig here. So, 2 African explorers. You rarely hear about African explorers. We're going to give you 2 tonight. I'm going to give you 2. First one is Admiral Haino. Admiral Haino was a Carthaginian, and he sailed from this area right here where he was establishing colonies on behalf of Carthage, and he sails all the way around where modern-day Cameroon is. Had 50 ships, 3,000, 4,000 soldiers with him, and he's sailing around. This is just one of many voyages that the Carthaginians took. Again, they were known for circumnavigating the globe. Carthaginians. Right? So that's one, Admiral Haino. Let me go ahead and plug in something that Carthage was doing. Should I plug it in here? I'm gonna wait. African explorer number 2. Admiral Himilco. So Himilco, he goes from Carthage and he goes north. Iberian Peninsula, Western Europe, British Isles. And he's up here exploring and seeing what's going on. We already know the way Europeans have structured history, distorted it, falsified it. They make it seem like they were the only ones, or at least the first ones who went out and explored the world. Am I right? Yeah. Not only were Europeans dead last at going around and exploring the world, you had Africans, you had the Native Americans called indigenous people or Indians mistakenly. They had ships too. You had the Arabs, you had the Asians in the form of Japanese and the Chinese, the Arabs. All these different groups were already sailing before the European even left Europe. That's a little extra. They were dead last. This is facts. But anyway, so Himilco's another one. He travels north. They also say that the Carthaginians made contact with the Americans. I forgot to mention this in week 2. Kemet, and we're actually going to revisit this when we talk about the African presence in America. Kemet also made voyages to North America and South America and that Caribbean element. So Kemet was 1, Carthage is 2, and there's 2 more, which I won't mention because we'll wait till we get there. So Carthage also went on voyages to America. So Carthage is building itself. It's traveling, it's building. Everything in the red, and a little bit more than that actually, everything in the red though is definitely Carthage. They're running the show. Notice they're controlling the Mediterranean Sea. Controlling all of that. Also, this is the only way into the Mediterranean Sea right here. So you wanted to train in here with young Rome. Rome isn't really on the scene just yet, but mainly Greece. Greece is the one that's on the scene right now, this particular time period. Greece and Macedonia. You wanted to get here to train with them, you got to go through Carthage. Right? Mainly, the main part was this island right here called Sicily. Greece had control of this part of Sicily. Carthage had control of this part. As a result of that, they would have some conflict right here. This would be the main place where all the conflict would start right there. Between Carthage, an African nation, and then to start off with Greece over here. Y'all got that? Okay. Now, under King Hamilcar of the House of Mago, Carthage had become a dominant force. We saw the navy, we saw what they controlled. Greece challenges Carthage for control of the Mediterranean Sea, mainly where Sicily is. Tensions rise, things jump off. Is that how we'll say it? That went down. Carthage loses the first battle on the island of Sicily. First one they lost. They come back though, years later, match up against Greece, led by Hannibal of the House of Mago. There were 2 Hannibals, this is the first one. Hannibal of the House of Mago, and they proved victorious. So they beat Greece on this one. Okay? Carthage had, at the time, when they beat Greece, they had 200 warships, 3,000 troops transporters, and 300,000 men. Now I have that where it says number 14. Because if Carthage was a military power in today's time, they would be the number 14 army or military in the world out of 175 countries. Carthage will be number 14 today. Y'all with me on that? Meaning, and that also represents the size of their military. So, what's that? About 150 countries wouldn't have as many troops as Carthage would have today. All right? So Greece signs the peace treaty, 383 BC. At that point, because Carthage takes care of Greece, they become a superpower. And when they become a superpower, they start becoming a superpower. Listen, the population of Carthage, this might be a question on that paper, the population alone was 700,000 to 1 million people in Carthage. That's bigger than Charlotte. Easy. 700,000 to 1 million people. Let's do some work. City walls were extraordinarily thick. Talking about the walls that surrounded the city. Within those walls were barracks for 20,000 soldiers. 20,000. Stalls for 300 elephants and stables for 4,000 horses. Carthage